everyone, and welcome to your Daily Five. I am Mish Schneider, aka Mish, and once again, like to thank StockCharts for hosting this segment. So what I thought I would do with you today is very timely because at this point, we've had troubles with the Nasdaq with the rising yields. The yields had dropped and Nasdaq saw a really great bounce. It went right to the 50-day moving average on Thursday, the 11th, and on Friday, the 12th, as I'm talking to you now, the yields went back up. And of course, we're seeing Nasdaq once again struggle. But with that, what I want to do is give you the top 10 names in momentum. In other words, the top 10 names that are trend strength names, because these are the ones that you could be looking at for positions if Nasdaq does indeed hold. And of course, I always like to give you the symbols that I'm going to cover. So here they are. I'm not going to read them to you. It takes too much time. But of course, we are going to start with the cues themselves. Okay. So let's start with Nasdaq itself, the ETF Qs. Now, what's interesting about this particular chart is that we could technically say this was a new 60-plus day low. And you know I like to talk about that. But generally, when we have these type of sticks, what you want to see the next day is a close above the high from the day before, and that didn't quite happen. Now, it's not necessary that it has to happen. It's just a cleaner reversal pattern when it does. So essentially now what we saw was the move back over 310, 305, 310. And by the way, that was a significant number because that was the 6-month January low was the 305. And then yesterday, you could see that it went all the way up to the 50, and now we're getting some resistance there. Now, 312 really is your first pivotal area. And so far, the low today is 311.53. So we broke it briefly, and it's of course never an exact number, but an area. So I would say if 312 fails, then we really have to be looking at that 310 level. And if under 310 fails, then I would be very, very cautious, not just in the Nasdaq space, but in many of your other stocks that could get impacted by that. Of course, we're seeing divergence still with more money going into the Russell 2000 and the diamonds, but nonetheless, you really want to see everything hold up here because the Qs can actually be a total drag and bring everything down. Right now, they're behaving, they're just testing support, which is why going through these symbols will be very good. So let's start with BIDU. This is number one. Now look at BIDU right here, sitting right on the 50-day moving average. So yesterday's move up with the Qs, it cleared the 50 after the day before it closed below it. So we've had one day above the 50, one day below the 50, one day above the 50, and one day sitting on the 50. So as I'm talking to you, really, you want to keep your eye on that 264.14 level. And if it can close above it, I would think that would be a good sign. And then you have a choice of risks. You could probably either risk down to this low right here at around 246. Technically, you could go all the way down to 226, but now you're talking about a $40 risk. I wouldn't do that. So I would prefer to recommend a close over that 50-day moving average again at 264.15, and probably I would give that at least maybe to under this low here at 246. Our momentum is not necessarily, though, playing fair here because you can see that we're still under the Bollinger Band and well under the 50. But nonetheless, if we get kind of a boost, you might see that Bollinger Band clear. The next one is Moderna. And Moderna is under the 50, as is the Real Motion and as is the leadership. Now, again, remember I was telling you, we get a new low. In this case, you had an inside day, a second inside day, and then the third day, it still could not close. So this is a weak signal to me right now. So I would probably say, yeah, could it go up? But I wouldn't really be interested in this until it got closer and took out that 50-day moving average. To me, this looks like, given the momentum and given the fact that this wasn't a really good reversal, we may actually see lower prices there. Now, the next one is AMAT, which is Applied Materials. This looks a little bit different because you can see it's well above the 50, but look at the divergence here. The divergence is showing negative momentum while this is positive on the 50-day moving average. So with this one right here, maybe I would either wait for this momentum to clear back over, in which case I'd say probably you'd be looking at a move over 120, or I would see what happens if this gets closer to the 50-day moving average and whether or not this can hold this recent momentum low right here. The next one is Micron. Now, semiconductors have barely been weak. This also is showing divergence here while it's above. And it's the same kind of thing. It either has to clear 90, and we got to see this go over the 50, or we want to see what happens if this gets under the 50-day moving average and holds this recent low at 81.85. But right here, we're smack dab in the middle, and which kind of makes sense given what we're at with the whole Nasdaq situation. Now, Fox Corporation has flown along with Viacom, that I showed you these when we talked about telecommunications ages ago. So at this point now, the momentum is in line with the price, but you kind of missed the boat. I guess if you really wanted to still get involved in this one, you might want to look here at 40 as your risk. And just a quick peek here at the weekly chart, you could see that we're not near the all-time high, which is at 50. So actually, just in terms of risk reward, if you were to get into this and risk to under 40, that would be about a $2-3 risk to see if you can get to 50 or beyond. That's a momentum play that's not too bad. Next one is PDD, and this is Pinduoduo. And this one here, you've got also very negative momentum below both moving averages, but starting at least to show a peak, maybe coming back. This too did not have a good reversal pattern. New low, the next day couldn't close above that high. So again, these are sloppy charts, but interesting to take a look at. What would I say with this one, with the momentum going up? Maybe if we can hold above this 150, and we can get back up here at around 171, 172, ahead of the 50 might be taking a chance. But all of these Nasdaq stocks are showing you the stress that they're feeling from these yields that have been going up. Now, Tesla also has negative momentum, and you know how I love to show you this momentum divergence. Here, when this was trying to make new highs, the momentum had already gone negative in Tesla. So right now, it's been in a little bit of trouble here. But we have, again, popped off from the lows. This actually is a clean reversal pattern. New 60-day low, inside day, next day closes above. So really, you have to see this hold 539.49, which 540 has been a really big key. So I would either say that I would want to buy a dip, maybe to around 620, or through 700, and then I would risk about that 620. This is a big stock, so you have to take those kind of risks, and of course you have to adjust your position sizing accordingly. The next one here is C-Trip. This is look at this one. This one is actually also well outperforming the market. Now we just had all this participation here, so now it would really should hold around 41.80, 41.90. If you got involved with this, you could either use it as a short-term trade and get out if it closes under 41.80, or you can risk down to under these lows here, which would really be like 38.40. But again, worth taking a quick look at the weekly chart, and you can see that this was in a long-term downtrend and is starting to reverse. So that actually may not be a bad situation there as well. And then we've got WBA. Real quick, we'll take a look here. WBA also now looking pretty good here. I would say some kind of a dip, maybe closer to around 51. This thing looks like it has potential. This is Walgreens. And then the last one to look at here is Marriott. Also looking pretty good. Momentum is not quite as high, but again, looking at this, should hold 140. Like to see this clear maybe in a close above these levels, 151, and this too can be off to the races. Okay, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.